for me personally, I try to think about everything on a Bitcoin standard. So my goal is to get more Bitcoin. I'm a partner at a fund, a Bitcoin fund, Bitcoin Opportunity Fund. Our goal is to grow the Bitcoin or beat Bitcoin's performance there as well. So I think there's two sort of main objectives here. Am I trying to get more Bitcoin at the end of the day, or am I trying to get more dollars at the end of the day? So what is your scoreboard?
When it comes to crypto, I use Bitcoin. And that's why I talk a lot about Bitcoin dominance. I've published way too many videos on Bitcoin dominance over the last few years. And I think one of the things about Bitcoin dominance that has kind of tripped people up recently is that it looks like it's been dropping some, but it hasn't really been dropping. If you include stable coins, Bitcoin dominance has been dropping some, but the reason is because stablecoin dominance is going
Right.
up. But if you actually exclude stablecoins from the calculation, so if you take out USDT and you take out USDC and everything else, all the stablecoins, what you'll notice is that Bitcoin dominance is still going up, right? And you can verify that. I mean, you can look at basically all the major large cap cryptocurrencies, like look at ETH Bitcoin, it's still dropping, right? Like it's not going up, it's still dropping. You can look at Solana Bitcoin, it's still dropping. You can look at all the major cryptocurrencies, BNB Bitcoin, right? Like it's been dropping since October. Go through the list and you can see that these are dropping. So for me, as it relates to crypto, I think you have to use Bitcoin as the standard, right? You absolutely have to, because so many of the altcoins eventually just go asymptotically to zero against Bitcoin. They might not for a cycle or two, but over a long enough period of time, altcoins bleed to Bitcoin, crypto stocks bleed to Bitcoin, crypto miners bleed to Bitcoin. And over a long enough period of time, I think even a lot of the treasury companies will bleed to Bitcoin too. I think the underlying asset is what deserves the most amount of attention, not all the things that try to latch themselves onto it. Um, so yes, I agree with you 100%. Bitcoin is the standard in crypto. Now, outside of crypto, you can still use Bitcoin as the standard. I will still frequently look at like the S&P against Bitcoin. I think that's relevant to look at. But I also look at things against gold as well. And so if you look at Bitcoin against, say, gold, you can see that right now it's trading at basically where it was almost a decade ago, with respect to its gold valuation. And by the way, one of the really interesting valuations is to look at the S&P against gold, because when you look at the S&P against gold, it kind of helps sort of frame this more so in that late business cycle environment, because the S&P just broke down against gold at the same valuation that it broke down at in 1973 and in 2008. And I'm not saying it has to be as crazy as those times were, but when it is breaking down, what normally happens is you start to see a little bit of weakness creep up in the stock market, and you'll start to see it continue to bleed against gold. So I think Bitcoin makes a lot of sense to use as the standard in a lot of cases, but then I think gold is also a reasonable one as well, especially if you're looking at like the stock market.
Yeah. Thanks for that, that explanation. But the question I'm asking is just a little bit different. My goal, the goal of my fund and my goal personally is to get more Bitcoin. So everything I'm doing in my business right now is to earn more dollars, and then I use those dollars to get more Bitcoin. So my goal is to have more Bitcoin in the future than I have today. And I'm just curious, back to you, sort of the way that you approach the market just changes based off of the scoreboard that you have. And so while I understand Bitcoin is the scoreboard in the crypto space, is it still used to get you more dollars? Like your goal is to have 10 million, 20 million, $50 million, or are you trying to get more Bitcoin?
I'm trying to grow my position in all assets, not just
But
Bitcoin,
dominated
right?
in
So
dollars, right?
I think normally I mean I think for the last 5 or 6 years especially I've thought more in terms of Bitcoin, um, mainly because like we've been in this like major bull market for so long. But from a more macro perspective, I think growing your positions in basically everything makes a lot of sense, right? Like not just Bitcoin. The problem I have with going all in on one asset is, there's a lot of idiosyncratic risk with that single asset. And, I have a family, I have 4 kids. I don't want to bet my entire family's future on a single thing as much as I love that thing. And for me, Bitcoin is my favorite asset to own. It's the thing that's given me the best returns. So I have a larger position in Bitcoin most of the time compared to basically any other investment I have into an individual asset. But there's seasons, right? Like in midterm years, I don't tend to own as much Bitcoin. Um, like in a prior cycle I did. So when I was in grad school in 2013, 2014, I started my PhD in 2013, and I distinctly remember, like watching, basically just getting completely wrecked in 2014 and watching things drop like 90%. And it's a pretty bad
It's
feeling
brutal.
when, when if Bitcoin drops 90%, if also your entire net worth is dropping 90%, that's a tough thing to be at. Now, when I was younger and when I was in my mid 20s, it was easier to take on that risk, right? Because, I didn't have as many people relying on me. It was just, and I was younger, I could make it all back. But now that I'm, older, I'm now 30, I'm now in my mid 30s. It's still relatively young by a lot of standards, but I feel some level of responsibility to make sure that I don't just bet everything on one thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, I denominate crypto stuff in Bitcoin. I will sometimes denominate other things in Bitcoin, but I'm not just trying to grow my Bitcoin position. I'm also trying to grow other positions as well, like stocks, like gold,
Got it. Yep.
other things as well.
Now, I mean, I'm a father as well, and I suffered very, very drastically in 2008 from being too concentrated in real estate. So I often say that the reward of getting it right is not worth the risk of being wrong in that. And so certainly I have multiple businesses and multiple investments in lots of businesses. I own a lot of real estate, not rental properties, but real estate properties, trophy properties, and then I have my Bitcoin allocation. The reason why I'm asking though is if I believe that Bitcoin is going to be worth $1 million in the future, which I think you have a date of about 2040, I think it happens earlier, but regardless, if it's going to be worth $1 million, well then I want to have a lot of Bitcoin. And so I think about, the future cost of that Bitcoin. And when you look at some data, like here's the stocks is no different, right? When you miss the best 10 days or the best 20 days, how that limits your returns. And so with Bitcoin, because the candles are so much more violent, they move so much faster, we can see that be affected more. So, and the reason why I'm just trying to talk about this is because it just changes the way that you approach the market, right? So for example, for me, I don't sell out part of my position and then try to buy back in. I may change the way I buy through the market for that, just because maybe we're trying to achieve something different. But in 2019, if you missed the 10 best days in 2019, you lost 39%, right? But if you would have been in those days, it was 217. In 2021, you would have made 180%, but if you missed the 10 best days, you lost 43%. 2024, you gained 52%, but you lost 15 if you missed those days. And typically those best days are right after the worst days. So from like if I'm trying to get more dollars, trying to sell at the top, buy back in makes sense. One of my friends runs a big hedge fund and he does really well. And he loves trading Bitcoin, buying at 40, selling at 60, buying at 70, selling at 90. And he makes a lot of dollars that way, but you end up with less Bitcoin typically doing it that way. So I guess, what would you say to that?
I mean, historically, if you've sold your Bitcoin at the end of every post-halving year and bought it 1 year later with the dollars, you would have gained more Bitcoin had you done that.
Had you been able to time it properly, right? So you're saying just sort of like
At
on
any
the
point,
timing cycle, like sell at 18 months, buy back in at 23 months or something like that?
yeah, like had you sold it at any point in the fourth quarter of every prior post-halving year and bought it 1 year later, you always would have ended up with more Bitcoin. Now, I know the pervasive narrative is that you can no one can do that, but I mean that is what has happened literally now, what, 4 times in a row, with a top in Q4 2013, Q4 2017, Q4 2021, and Q4 now of 2025. So, I mean, I get the timing markets is hard, and I'm not trying to say that, that I can necessarily time the market, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity cost as well. And, while people are screaming about the bear market being over, a lot of people have made a lot of money in other sectors, right? Like I've made more money in the metal department and in energy stocks this year that even if Bitcoin were to go back up to all-time highs, it still would not come close to what I made in these other markets. So I think in midterm years, there's also just opportunity costs, right? Like yes, I believe Bitcoin will come back as well, right? I think it's going to come back stronger, and I think it'll eventually go to $1 million. But the reality is, I mean, it is trading at the same valuation against gold that it was trading at almost a decade ago. So, in terms of that, people haven't really gained anything and really, if you think about it, Bitcoin's trading at the same price on its USD valuation that it was 5 years ago. Um, and if you value it against stocks, it's trading at the same valuation that it was trading at 5 years ago at the lows in the summer of 2021. So that's the reason why, as much as I love Bitcoin, I think we go through these like macroeconomic cycles that for some phases of the cycle, Bitcoin does great and it outperforms everything. But then other parts of the cycle, it doesn't necessarily do that, right? It can sometimes underperform other things, and during that time, I think it's worthwhile to have exposure to other assets. But I mean, I think you can trade, like, if anyone traded Bitcoin for dollars back at 120K, and then they just buy it back in the midterm year, even if they were to buy it back now, they've essentially doubled their Bitcoin position.
Yeah, I mean, assuming they sold it right when it hit 120K, which was not for a very long period of time. But to your point, you said
Or anywhere, 100,
yeah,
110K as well. I mean,
you
it was at
you said
110K.
earlier, like, people shouldn't be fading the 4-year cycle until proven otherwise. So it's like you've obviously been in the space for a long time, and it's like the narratives change every cycle. It's like the reason why
Yeah.
it's not going to crash, the reasons why it's never going to come back, and it's like it's a different story every time, right? Which is what makes it difficult.
Yeah.
So it's like the reasons why it's not going to crash this time were different than last time. The reasons why it's not going to come back this time, now it's AI stocks, it's quantum, it's whatever, and it's just different than why it wouldn't come back in previous cycles before that. So it makes it difficult. But I mean, obviously, sure, to your point, looking back in hindsight, do you think when you're looking at Bitcoin's like long-term performance, though, do you think it could be a mistake trying to compare the bottom of a cycle to the top of a cycle? So, for example, you referenced, Bitcoin's price being back to where it was in US dollar terms to where it was back in like 2021. But that was the top of a cycle versus now the bottom of the cycle. So we want an asset that's making higher highs and higher lows, which is what it appears to be doing. So,
Well, I don't believe we're at the bottom of the cycle.
because you think it can go on for a few more months this year through this midterm cycle.
Yeah, I mean, normally the bear markets last more than a few months. So, and again, like I think the U.S. I agree with you. I mean, I don't really think the USD valuation is the fairest thing to look at. I mean, if you're looking at that and coming to conclusions and saying, well, it's the same spot that it was 5 years ago, then I would agree with you. But when you value Bitcoin in other things, right? Like if you value it against something, I think we can agree that fiat is going asymptotically to zero,
Right.
right? Like we can agree on
Yeah,
that.
sure.
So the main thing I have is the opportunity cost, right? Like, and I've sat through 3 prior bear markets before this one, and the problem is that Bitcoin's just never been a great investment in bear market in midterm years. Like it's a good thing to buy at the end of the midterm year, but it's never been a great thing to buy, at the end of the post halving year.
Right.
So when I value it against other things like the stock market, and when I value it against gold, think about it. When you value it against gold, it's where it was back in 2017, and I mean, at that point, it's kind of hard to just ignore that, like it's kind of, it's hard to just say, well, so what? It's still a higher low. I mean, you're talking about a decade where it's literally at the same valuation against gold. And a lot of Bitcoiners have mocked gold during that time, even though the returns over the last 9 years have been exactly the same. So I do think that there is data that would suggest that there's reason to have other things in a portfolio besides just Bitcoin, because what happens is people will go years outperforming lower risk assets like gold, but if you never sold any of it and never took profits on any of it, then you find yourself not even having outperformed gold.
Hey, if you like this short conversation I just had, you're going to love the full length conversation. Don't miss it. You can go ahead and click right over here, and I'll see you over there.